They didn't notice you at first. At least, not fully. You were there, quietly supporting, silently loving, always present, yet somehow invisible in the rush of their own life. They thought love was easy, that it could exist without attention, without gratitude, without understanding. And for a while, it did, at least to them. They didn't see the way you adjusted yourself for them, the little compromises you made, the patience you carried like a secret weapon, the times you held back tears just to keep the peace. You were their constant, their anchor, their quiet heartbeat, and they didn't realize that the foundation of their happiness had been built on you. Then one day, without a dramatic announcement, without a warning, it all slipped through their fingers. Perhaps they argued, perhaps pride got in the way, or perhaps they were too blind to notice the cracks that had been forming in the relationship. Whatever the reason, you left. Not because you didn't love them, but because you understood that love without recognition is hollow, and waiting for someone who doesn't see your value is exhausting. The silence that followed was deafening. They didn't reach out. They didn't apologize. They just let the spaces between you grow wider. And in that silence, life continued as usual, at first. At first, they thought nothing had changed. They thought that without effort, love would persist. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, the emptiness began to grow. Their mornings no longer carried your laughter. Their nights were quieter, lonelier, filled with memories they had once ignored. Songs you loved played in the background and felt like messages from a world they could no longer reach. Every corner of their day seemed to echo with the absence of you, and they began to realize, in the most unsettling way, that something essential was missing. The realization didn't hit all at once. It was subtle at first, a pang when they walked past a place you once visited together, a fleeting memory triggered by a scent, a song, a shared joke. Then the memories intensified. They replayed conversations, revisited moments, examined every choice with the clarity they lacked when they had you. They remembered the way you smiled at their worst ideas, the way you stood by them when no one else would, the times you forgave silently and supported unconditionally. Each memory was a mirror, reflecting not just what they had lost, but what they themselves had failed to appreciate. And the pain came in waves. They felt it in their chest, in their stomach, in the restless nights where they couldn't stop thinking about what was gone. Every small detail, every forgotten gesture, every moment of love once taken for granted now felt monumental. The laughter you shared, the quiet comfort of your presence, the gentle way you made them feel seen, all of it surged back, vivid and relentless. And with each memory came understanding, the depth of your patience, the sincerity of your love, the irreplaceable role you had played in their life. Now they face the truth. They understand that what they broke cannot easily be repaired. They feel the weight of regret pressing on them, the hollow echo of your absence in every corner of their day. And in this quiet reckoning, they are forced to look inward, to confront their own mistakes, their pride, their negligence. The realization is painful, unavoidable, and utterly transformative. It is in these moments, when life is stripped of distractions and excuses, that they finally see what they had before it was gone, and what they lost forever. Someone who lost you is not just a stranger in your life anymore. They were once the center of your world, the person who had your trust, your laughter, your vulnerabilities laid bare. And yet, they let it slip through their fingers. They didn't notice the small sacrifices, the quiet patience, the times you held back anger for the sake of peace, the moments you chose them over yourself. You had become a part of their rhythm, a part of their silent heartbeat. And then one day, they lost it all. At first, they thought nothing had changed. Life continued, the noise of everyday distractions filling the empty spaces where you used to be. But slowly, subtly, reality started to crack through. The absence was loud. Their mornings no longer had your smile to greet them. The air carried a strange emptiness that they could not shake. Every decision, every casual glance at the past, reminded them of what they had let go. They began to remember not just the big moments, but the micro moments. How you would laugh at the same silly jokes, how you had a way of calming their insecurities without saying a word, how your presence was a stabilizing force. It hits them in a way that is not sudden but gradual, like the tide quietly eroding the sand beneath their feet. They realize that the space you occupied in their life was irreplaceable, that no one else could replicate the way you saw them, the way you understood the depths of who they truly were. And this realization is painful because it comes not when they still have you, but when they don't. They begin to feel the hollow spaces in the routines they once took for granted. The first pangs of regret are often quiet, almost unnoticeable. It's in the way they linger a second too long at the places you used to go together, or how a song you love suddenly feels like a message from the past. They notice patterns that once seemed insignificant, the warmth of your touch, the thoughtful gestures that now feel like missed opportunities. Every memory comes unbidden, uninvited, haunting their daily life like a ghost of what could have been. They start to confront themselves, asking questions they never thought they would have to ask. How did I let this happen? Why didn't I see the value of what I had? Were the small arguments worth the permanent distance? Were my insecurities, my pride, my selfish moments truly worth the loss of something so profound? They begin to feel the weight of your absence in ways they cannot articulate. Sleep becomes uneasy. Their mind revisits scenarios endlessly, playing out every choice differently, wishing, imagining, but unable to alter the reality that now stands firm and unchangeable. They start noticing the way people around them seem different, as if the vibrancy you brought into their life had illuminated even the people in your orbit. Without you, the colors of their world feel muted, conversations feel hollow, laughter feels forced. There is no malice in this realization, only the raw, unfiltered recognition of the gap they created. The more they reflect, the more they understand that losing you wasn't just losing a companion or lover, it was losing a reflection of the best part of themselves. You had challenged them, nurtured them, loved them in ways that were gentle but transformative. You had been the mirror showing them potential, the brighter side, the version of them capable of empathy, patience, and growth. And without you, they are confronted with their own shortcomings with unflinching clarity. This recognition is both sobering and humbling. It's as if life itself is holding up a mirror and asking, "Do you see what you broke?" This understanding often leads to pangs of guilt. They begin to replay their actions, the words they said too harshly, the moments they prioritized trivial things over the meaningful, the times they took you for granted. They recall your sacrifices, perhaps once unnoticed, and now glaringly evident. Every act of patience you had offered, every emotional support you had given, every subtle expression of love, becomes magnified in their memory. They may even wonder if the relationship would have survived if they had been more attentive, more selfless, more willing to recognize the treasure they had in front of them. As days turn into weeks, and weeks into months, they begin to see the void not just emotionally but socially and spiritually. Friends notice a change in their demeanor. They are quieter, more reflective, almost haunted by the absence of someone they once underestimated. Simple things, like seeing couples laughing together, feel like a mirror showing them their own failure to appreciate happiness when it was offered freely. This slow, almost torturous realization becomes a constant hum in the background of their consciousness, an ache that does not leave until they come face to face with their mistakes and the consequences of letting go. When they finally fully recognize what they broke, it is rarely about the desire to reclaim you. It is about understanding the depth of what was lost, the magnitude of the presence they had taken for granted. They realize that love is not just about passion or attraction, but about constancy, empathy, understanding, and the quiet, consistent ways in which someone can be the bedrock of your life. The awareness is a mixture of sorrow, nostalgia, and reverence for the connection they allowed to slip away. They might try to reach out, but even if they do, the timing may no longer align, and their realization remains a bittersweet acknowledgement rather than a reconciliation. They may revisit memories with a new lens. Moments that once seemed ordinary now shine with profound significance. They may think about your laughter, the sound of your voice, the warmth of your embrace, and the feeling of being seen fully and completely. These reflections create a profound emotional awakening, a recognition that their own growth is tied to the understanding of what was lost. It teaches them humility, patience, and the stark reality that some opportunities, once gone, cannot be recreated. Even as they recognize their loss, there's a lingering hope that life has a path toward redemption. Perhaps they understand the importance of showing appreciation, of listening, of valuing emotional labor that often goes unseen. But there's also a truth they must face, that the person they lost, you, may have grown, healed, and moved forward, stronger because of the absence of someone who once underestimated them. This paradox of realization, that understanding what you broke can never fully undo the damage, but can illuminate future growth, is the haunting, beautiful truth of losing someone irreplaceable. The process of realizing what they broke is both internal and transformative. It challenges their self-perception, forces them to confront uncomfortable truths, and strips away excuses that once shielded them from accountability. They must reckon with their own flaws, the small acts of neglect, the emotional detachment, and the moments where love was sidelined for pride or convenience. This reckoning is a critical turning point, not just in their emotional journey, but in their development as a human being capable of empathy, understanding, and genuine care. By the time they fully comprehend what they have lost, there is a mixture of regret and enlightenment. They see the weight of their actions and the magnitude of what was entrusted to them and squandered. The realization is painful because it is irreversible, a stark reminder that love, once mishandled, leaves marks that cannot always be repaired. Yet, in this pain lies a lesson, one that shapes their character, their approach to relationships, and the way they perceive the value of those who truly see and care for them. And so, the realization settles in slowly, persistently, haunting their every thought. It is not dramatic or explosive. It is quiet, insidious, and undeniable. They see the patterns they disrupted, the stability they broke, the trust they eroded. Every past conversation and every shared moment is revisited, now with clarity, now with the weight of hindsight. They understand that what was lost was not a fleeting romance, but a deep, transformative connection, one that shaped who they were and what they could become. This slow awakening is a testament to the complexity of human emotions. It reflects the painful truth that sometimes we only understand the value of something once it is no longer within our grasp. It emphasizes that love is not just a feeling, but a commitment, a consistent action, and a recognition of another person's worth. Losing someone of such depth forces them to confront these truths in a raw, unfiltered way, compelling them to examine themselves and their choices with an honesty they may have previously lacked. Memory triggers are not gentle reminders. They are sharp, unavoidable jolts that force someone to confront the reality of what they lost. They appear in the most mundane moments, walking past a cafe you once visited together, hearing a song you both laughed to, or catching a scent that instantly pulls them back into the time when your presence felt like home. These triggers bypass logic and reason. They don't politely suggest, they demand attention. Suddenly, a simple image or sound carries the weight of every unspoken word, every overlooked gesture, and every subtle act of love that went unnoticed. At first, they try to dismiss these memories, chalking them up to coincidence or nostalgia, but the intensity refuses to be ignored. Their brain lights up with associations, visual, auditory, emotional, each fragment weaving a tapestry of what they lost. A laugh, a glance, a phrase they once took for granted resurfaces with clarity, sharper than it was in the moment, forcing them to recognize the depth of your impact on their life. They may even start noticing small details they missed before. The way your eyes softened when you were listening, the faint way your presence made a room brighter, or the tiny sacrifices you made without complaint. Every detail becomes a testament to the loss they caused. These triggers also evoke a physical response. Their chest tightens, a lump rises in their throat, and their stomach churns with a mixture of longing and regret. It's not just emotional. It's a visceral reaction that leaves them restless and uneasy. Memories that were once neutral or even comforting now sting because they are reminders of what they can no longer hold. Each triggered memory magnifies the gap between what was and what is, making the absence tangible. The more memory triggers hit, the harder it is for them to maintain denial. Their mind replays conversations, re-examines arguments, and scrutinizes decisions in painstaking detail. They see the moments where they could have acted differently, the times they chose indifference over attention, and the countless tiny opportunities to cherish you that slipped by unnoticed. Each trigger is a spotlight, illuminating not just the love they lost, but also their own failings, their ego, or their lack of awareness. What makes memory triggers uniquely brutal is that they do not provide closure. Unlike external events, which can be rationalized or forgotten, memories are private and persistent. They invade quiet moments, commuting, showering, lying awake at night, and there is no escape from them. Every trigger reinforces the realization that what they broke was irreplaceable. It becomes impossible to see the world as it is without simultaneously seeing the void your absence has created. Eventually, these triggers accumulate into a profound awakening. They start to connect patterns, realizing that the moments they dismissed as trivial were, in fact, the foundation of a deep bond. Laughter, shared silences, even disagreements. They understand now that these were not just everyday experiences but threads that wove the fabric of a relationship that could have lasted a lifetime. Each triggered memory sharpens their understanding of what was destroyed and why it is now lost forever. This constant collision with memory forces them into introspection. They are not just remembering, they are reliving, analyzing, and emotionally digesting each moment with a clarity that comes only after absence. It's painful but instructive. Memory triggers function like mirrors, reflecting not just the love they lost but also the version of themselves that allowed it to slip away. By intensifying awareness through repetition, emotion, and reflection, these triggers ensure that the realization of loss is inescapable, immersive, and unforgettable.